Welcome back everyone. As you can see here, we are in the Power BI desktop. This is a brand new file. We haven't done anything with it. So if you want to follow along, do open up your Power BI in a brand new untitled report here. So what we want to do here is that we want to actually create data. Okay, so the future lessons we will cover connecting data as well. But for now, we want to actually create data. So this is a step-by-step demonstration and allows you to follow through in what I'm actually doing. So you may have to pause this video as you are following along. You might even have to rewind a little bit just so that you can actually see and follow along the step-by-step process that I'm doing. So in this specific task that we are performing here, we are making use of the calendar functionalities that comes with Power BI. So that really is the point of this exercise, to get familiar, of course, with the canvas, with how Power BI works, but also creating something actually useful for the purpose of future exercise or future report that you are looking to do. So now that we have this up and running, so the first thing that you want to do is actually just click save, and you can save it to your desktop, and you can call this calendar. Okay, calendar report. Okay, when that's done, give it a couple of seconds to save. You will see this calendar report. That's the file name of your Power BI. So the task now is that we want to actually create data. All right, so and dates really, and also make use of some of the what we call the DAX functions or the formula functions that I talked about. So the step now is that we do need to actually go over to this portion here called data view. All right, and we need to actually create a new report. So how do we actually do this? We need to actually come to this data tab, and it's the first thing. And because we have no tables as well, as you can actually see from our views pane, there's completely nothing. So the first thing is actually to actually create a new table. And you can see the suggestions here, or the tip here is that write a DAX expression to create a new table. So we need to create a new table. Give it a short while. And notice that the formula bar is waiting for us to enter information. So with this, we will create a new column data. Okay, so we call it date. All right, this is going to be a column of data. And notice that immediately, as soon as I type the name, I specify as date is equal to the auto suggestions pop out. These are all the various functionality that comes out, and that's actually inbuilt into Power BI. So it's extremely handy, extremely powerful. For us, we want to actually just start off by doing something that's easy to follow, easy to understand. So we'll start off with selecting calendar. And notice here what it says, it returns a table with one column of all dates between start date as well as end date. All right, so we'll select that, and we need a start date and we need the end date. Since I don't really have a specific date in mind, and the Power BI have a specific requirements in terms of how we actually create date, I need another function called date. Okay, right. So if I select this date, notice the auto suggestions pops up. Once again, it says you need to specify the year, the month, as well as day. So on this, let's just start with 2010, January 1st, close bracket, and that, notice the highlighted or the bold text here tells you that we have just finished providing the information for start date. But in order for calendar to work, it needs an end date as well. So we're comma, and we need to provide end date. Again, we have to make use of the same functions, date here, as we did before. Let's double click that. Once again, put in the year. So we are into 2020. Let's just go to the beginning of the year, and that will do. The space here doesn't really matter. I just want to actually maintain the consistency here. So we want this to return to us every single day from 2010 to 2020 January 1st. So at this point, what's left to do is just press Enter key on your keyboard and wait for a short while. Depending on the speed of your computer, you will see these informations being provided or returned to you. You notice that January 1st, January 2nd, but it has this interesting midnight data step here. It provides all of these are on the midnight itself. That's not really what we actually want to have. So we need to actually change this a little bit. How do you actually change this? The way to change that is to do a few steps, okay, to follow these specific steps here. First thing is that you need to mouse over the title of this column and select that. Once you select that, you will have these column tools pop up, or either that's already there, but you need to now select column tools. And this is, as I mentioned before, you haven't seen this. This is a contextualized tab. It pops up as and when it becomes useful. Let's just close that. It pops up when you actually, the timely moment when you do need to actually utilize that. A couple of things. You notice that there is the structure, formatting, properties, sort, groups, relationship, and calculations. The name, the structure here pretty much tells you this is the name of the column. You can actually rename it to something else that's relevant to you. The data type that's being right now defaulted to is date/time. For us, we really only want to see a date because the time here is all the same and it's fairly meaningless in our situation. And fairly quickly, you can see that there are other different types of data that you can actually select as well. But in our situation, the date is the most relevant, so let's just select that to date. And that will change it to this format. Day of the week, comma, followed by the date itself. And again, if this is not the format that you like, you can actually change the format further. At the very least, what we've done is that we changed the data type to date. The second thing is that you can choose how the data is displayed. Here, there are various options available to you. We will select this day / month / year. So selecting this will change the display format to this format here. And that's precisely what we want to do actually for now. And the other thing that I want to help you to get familiar with changing a few things is this is the column tool. So essentially this changes the details of the columns. If I want to actually, I change my mind. Okay, I want to change my tables names. How do I do that? You come back to the table tools, and under name, you can actually now change it to another name altogether. And a couple of things that you will notice is that as you change this, the date table, the name of the table will change over here as well. And that's really the couple of things that I wanted to show you, and we will, in the next video, we're going to go and create more columns. What we have done so far is to show you under the data tab, we can actually create our own data. I showed you a couple of functionalities of Power BI, how to use, for example, the calendar formula as well as the date formula, and how it can actually pre-populate all this information for you. And the other thing that we've demonstrated, hopefully had you follow along, and I assume that you have, you would have known how to actually create the column name and also the table name, and also how to change both the table as well as the column name as well. One last thing is the contextualized tabs that you'll now hopefully start to come to a little bit more familiarity, how you can actually change some of the details as well. With that, I'm going to stop here. This is long enough as a video. When we come back, we're going to create more columns for us before we actually go on and to create the visualization.